approached. Transparency is very important. There should be transparency. And this is the message that I would like to send to those who are thinking of investing in Burma. Please make sure that whatever you do is transparent. Not just investments, but aid as well. Development aid, humanitarian aid. Transparency is very important if we are to avoid problems in future. The reason why we have problems with the WEF project and projects of that nature and other bilateral projects is that we, the people of Burma, were kept completely in the dark about what was in the contracts, about what was going on, about what was going to happen. Then suddenly something was happening, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. Everything was going ahead, and people had not had a chance to discuss the situation, to exchange views, to come to a consensus. This is very dangerous for a country. It endangers national reconciliation. It engenders more and more suspicion and distrust. So whatever investments, governmental agreements, whatever aid might be proposed, please make sure that this is transparent, that the people of Burma are in a position to understand what has been done and how and for whom the benefits are intended. We have to make this quite clear. Otherwise, we may find that the benefits go to one particular group or one particular person even.
Please, on this side.
Ms. Suchi, this is it me?
Yes, this is your turn.
Richard Lloyd Parry of The Times. To what extent do you think the reforms which have taken place in Burma depend on President Thein Sein personally? In other words, if he was out of action for some reason, for reasons of health or for a political reason, what effect would that have?
This is a difficult question to answer, because if you assume that for some reason or the other President Thein Sein may not be continuing in his present position, then we also have to ask who is going to be to replace him. And unless we know the answer to that question, we cannot tell what the consequences of such a change are going to be.
We're going to go to the
Hi, Dan Tenkay with Bloomberg News. I was just wondering if you could elaborate. You talked about job creation in your speech. Can you just elaborate on which industries you would like to see invest in Burma to accomplish that? And can you talk about whether the investment laws on the books now help to achieve that?
Well, we do not know. I understand that there's an investment law in the works. Now, that is another instance of lack of transparency. We only know the details of the laws once Parliament has approved them, and then they become law. But ideally, of course, people should be aware of what is going on before the decision is made, and then people can protest or support or make suggestions. But I can't answer your question because I don't know the details of this new investment law in the making. Whether or not these laws will help towards reform, I cannot answer at the moment.
We will go one more on this side, and then we will go on that side. One more. Yeah.
Simon Rockneen, filing for Irrawaddy News Magazine and Christian Science Monitor. What will be your priorities in the legislature? What particular laws, what particular issues are you going to promote in the Parliament? And second, related to that, what about the Constitution? How do you still want to amend the Constitution, I take it? So how are you going to go about doing that in the foreseeable future?
I omitted answering a part of your question. What kind of, if you don't mind, I think I'll go back to that question, because you asked what kind of industries, what kind of investments I would like to promote. I have to say that I'm not sure I should say this. I do have some in mind, but if I were to say I would support certain kinds of investments, then I might be giving the kind of signals I should not be giving at the moment. But let me say that I'm thinking in terms of low-hanging fruit, because we require quick creation of jobs. I'm sorry, I must come back to you now. Could you just repeat
the question?
What are your legislative priorities?
Yes. Well, the first thing I would like to do is to make sure that we have a parliamentary calendar. I don't know when the National Assembly is going to convene, and that makes life very difficult for us because we can't arrange our timetable to suit our work. And I think this is a practical matter. But there's a lot of talk about new laws. And sometimes I think too many new laws are coming out too quickly, and especially too quickly without the right transparency, so that these laws are out before we know what are the details. And it's difficult for us to digest them. I would say that there are enough good laws in the country to go along with. But what we need to do is to remove the unnecessary restrictions. For example, the licensing laws, or, well, some are not even laws, but the licensing practices which restrict the activities of our people, which quite an obvious one is the requirement for license with regard to the sale of cell phones. This means that we cannot promote the distribution of cell phones as much as we would wish to. And I think all of you agree that cell phones are very important in both the political and economic opening up of any country.
And the Constitution?
The Constitution will take a little bit more time. I don't know whether you're aware of the fact that in accordance with the Constitution, if we want to make any amendments, we require more than 75% of the votes. Now, more than 75%, please note, not 75%. So as 25% of the members of the National Assembly are those nominated by the military, that means that we have to win over all the civilian MPs, plus at least one soldier. Now, that one is going to be the toughest job of all.
We will take two more questions and then we have to wrap up.
Puneet Singh from the BBC. Yes.
Did we see you? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Suchi, you just mentioned about investing in Burma and the whole thing about the cell phone licensing and all. The opportunities in Burma and Myanmar are very well documented. But having attended a lot of sessions at the WEF, there seems to be a concern among industry leaders that though the opportunities are there and the wages are low compared to the other parts in the region, the skill set and infrastructure may not be in place to tap into those opportunities and turn them around into actual economic benefit for firms as well as the country. What needs to be done to address that? Does the investment come first, or do you put in the infrastructure and the skill set first?
It'll have to go in tandem. I don't think we can wait for investment to take place before we see to our infrastructure, nor can we do it the other way around. We can't wait for investment to come until we've seen to our infrastructure. It will have to go in tandem. For example, take my constituency. Of course, I'm trying to promote it as much as possible. Now, the roads there are very bad. During the monsoon, some of the roads are impassable. And it gets to a point where in some villages, children can't go to school because they have to go to schools in other villages. And as the roads are impassable during the rains, they just sit in their homes during the rains. And of course, that affects their education. So we can't really wait for investment to come before we start on infrastructure. But the infrastructure is in such poor shape that if we're going to wait for everything to be seen to before investment comes in, we will have to wait too long. So we would like the kind of investment which will bring about an improvement to our infrastructure, either by making this a condition for the government to meet, such as we'll build something there, we'll start on a project there, but you must make sure that the roads are good. Or perhaps in some cases the investors themselves will take care of part of the infrastructure building. These will have to go together. You know how it is. People have only a certain number of years in which to live, and they want to see improvements during their lifetimes. It's all right talking about jam today and jam tomorrow, but jam for this generation or jam for the next is too much to expect of people.
We will take one last question, and unfortunately.
Yes, I'm Onganan from Nation Channel. Dosuchi, what is your emphasis on the telecommunications and social media of Burma? What and when is the best time for us to add you on Facebook?
I can't answer this question because it's a matter of time availability. I'm not on Facebook because of for technological reasons, but it's just that I won't be able to fit it into my timetable at the moment. So as soon as I'm able to fit Facebook in, mind you, you never know what will happen with the technological revolution. Facebook may be old hat tomorrow. In that case, I won't go on Facebook.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ong.
Thank you.